Everybody, you just stumbled upon JK's Rewatchable Hour. Enjoy.
Hey, look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is late. It is 7:30. It's way past my bedtime. I just got out of jail again. Damn it. Just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, don't adjust your screen. We have a plethora of awesome people here for JK's Rewatchable Hour. I am your host, J Dubs, as I rest on this table because I did not sleep well last night. So if I doze off, just let me snore. It's okay. With me, as always, is Mr. Porn Stash himself, Mr. Eric Evans. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How we all doing?
I'm doing good. You see what I did there? I everybody knows the editing team who sucks and he has a lot of concussions. Every time it gets uploaded, people just switch around. I don't know what you guys do. So and with me at the bottom is my wife Jen. Jen, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Hey, are we actually recording? Okay, see, I have a concussion. I forget. Um and on the right hand side is Miss Jacqueline. How you doing?
Lovely. Hello.
How and in the middle, last but certainly definitely not least, is Mr. George Muzzy. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right.
So we decided that I think it was Eric or George who suggested the show.
Eric.
I suggested everybody just talk and brag about me, but nobody was going for that shit. So
That'd be a short show.
like he said. But anyways, what we decided.
That is what Jennifer said.
Or what
I
he
know.
said.
I've heard it. What we
He actually said it. He said.
What we
That's
decided
what
to
he
do here is one, start the timer. We wanted to get away from the normal type of shows that we're doing, and we wanted to put ourselves first. We wanted to, as you know, we have a couple more cast members who are unavailable tonight. Becky and Aline, and they will be back again. We wanted to just describe who we are, what we like, and we just thought it would be a good way for our listeners, especially the ones in Hong Kong who love us, and all of our viewers to let get a little insight on who we are and what we're about. I kind of like the idea about bragging about me, but this is another time. So,
Well,
what one thing that we never really do, we never sit here and we just never talk about ourselves. And I know he knows it's coming, and he just loves to be put on the spot. So, Mr. Eric Evans, wait, I think I caught an F word in there. Did anybody else see his lips go?
Yeah,
F?
right.
Yeah, I heard that.
This is
Eric,
a PG show.
yes,
What
Eric,
the hell?
damn you,
That's
Eric.
right. Yeah, I know.
You know, now go out back in the ditch with that hooker you picked up.
Yeah, right. Oh, man.
So, Eric,
J-Dubs, get that beeper ready.
Yeah, right.
not with this show, it'd be beep, beep.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Eric Evans, why don't you, in your own words, tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself and how you ended up here?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I've done quite a bit in my life, I guess. I've started out pretty basic, and I've had a pretty tough child story and things like I've talked before on the show. And I started out with a little bit of nothing, and I've ended up with a whole lot of things, and it's been pretty interesting voyage. I used to start out as a basic person, but as I've changed my life and career and finances, and I've kind of navigated through life, with some hardship, and just kept conquering and kept going, not looking back, just looking forward. Trying to stay positive in life. Even on the good and bad days, you just keep going. And,
Keep swimming.
yeah, that's right. If you don't, what happens, and you just gotta, by doing that, I've tried to take the hardships and make, good things, fun things, positive things, trying to help people that are in hard times, and, just get out and live your life. Don't sit in the gutter, don't sit in the ditch and, cry about it. You got to get around positive people. And, that's really what it is, and by doing that, I travel a lot when I can. I really enjoy traveling, and that gets me around different people that I don't see every day. And you learn to live a different lifestyle, not just to be like that person or to be some celebrity. It's just to be around people that are successful and have a
Are you
different,
famous?
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I am. I'm on the podcast, right? We're all
I love you. I'm just
right,
messing
right,
with you.
right. You get around and it's amazing what's out there in this world. I mean, it's a world that's like, unless you try, you never know. And that's been my goal in life, is just keep climbing ladder, keep going. And, you know, I don't want to regret it, sitting back. I've seen so many people, older people. I've seen my parents, I've seen friends, I've seen, relatives, just people that just sit back and they just complain all the time, or they don't live their life. They use all these excuses. I have to take care of a pet. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. My house no good. Eventually, all that kind of collapses and you don't live anything. You got to make, I guess you got to make do what you got and be happy with what you got. If you're not, work hard and get something you don't have.
We have to realize that some people just love to complain about things, and
right.
I think that they are enjoying their life. They're just living the kind of life that is just different from what we want to live.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that's very true. And that's really been my life story. And now I've got on the podcast. It's been almost a year now, and I've really changed my my way of thinking and saying and talking and opening up. I mean, I was in a shell at some point, and this has really got me out of that kind of a shell, and some things that I haven't lived in a long time. It's kind of funny, to live through,
Just so you know, I'm not laughing at you. I was just I love when people say something about this show has helped them in some way.
Right.
And obviously, you're married with 2 kids.
Yep. Married to 32 years with my wife, and we've got 2 kids. We've had a lot of hardship having our kids when they were younger. One of our child, lived through some pretty tragic times, but we didn't look back. We just, did our best and supported her 110%. And it's good to see, that she's growing up to what she is. My son's growing up to what he's doing. We just tried to set up the best example we could, and there again, it wasn't easy. We had some trying times, in our relationship of 32 years. We got about, a little over halfway through that journey, and it was some changes. We got off the rails a little bit, but we kind of got where we weren't kind of going down the same road together. We got different interests. She was doing different things. I was doing different things. And sometimes when you ignore somebody and you don't treat somebody like you should, that you love, that you married, they get to not know who you are anymore because you work too hard, you work too much, you ignore the family, you get into a routine, you just forget who you're married to and who you're living with. And that's pretty sad. And I was there. And
do you like pina coladas?
Pina coladas?
It's from a song.
All right.
I mean, but honestly, that is a true testament. I mean, that song is about, losing losing the knowledge of what and who your partner is and what they like.
Exactly.
If you look at the words of that song. So I was not making fun.
No, it's all right. No, it's true though. I mean, songs do that.
You got to know her again, it sounds like. So
yeah, I mean, it's amazing that we were married for 20, I think it was 20 years, just under 20 years. And it's kind of weird that you can figure out somebody that you've been with that long, and there's so many things you never knew about them, good, bad, or different.
I'm sure there's still things that you don't know.
Exactly.
We don't ever
100%.
Really truly know somebody.
It's interest. It's interest. It's things that you do together. It's things that she wanted to do, things that I wanted to do. And you just sometimes, so if we didn't go through some of that hardship, we may be no different than we were, 10 years ago. It's hard to, it's been 10 years. This year it's 10 years since we had our little, and it is what it is. We keep going, and we have a plan, we since then, and when things don't work out in the future, we have a plan set up that we can do things in a little bit easier ways, and but it's
Do
good.
you have a secret word?
Not really. Yeah, right.
A safe word.
I'm
Um,
just trying to put a little funny in your story.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
That's all right.
And so, for all of our listeners and viewers, what is your favorite vehicle of all time?
Corvette, by far. Yep.
Is there a specific year or just whatever?
Well, the one I have is a '93 C4 Corvette. It's the one I
Okay.
always wanted to have when I had two pennies rubbed together and not making a lot of money as a mechanic. And I worked on a lot of them, and I seen it, and that's the one I got. But someday in my life, I'll have another one. So
Absolutely.
I always said we have to buy two of them because I got to have one for each one of my kids when I pass away.
Oh, okay.
Aww. Eric, I want to say.
Do they both like Corvettes?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
If they
always-
don't, they can
I always-
sell them.
That's what I'm thinking.
Eric, thank you for being put on the spot right off the bat. It's going to be a reoccurring theme with shows, I'm sure. But thank you for sharing that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep. No problem.
So let's go to the person at the bottom. Jen, why don't you go ahead and tell our viewers and listeners about yourself and how you ended up here? However you want to say it.
I thought the show was going to be about how our week's been, so I'm really not.
Oh, yeah, either or. Let's talk about your week.
Oh man, now you're on the spot.
I'll come back to
Well,
Eric.
Jen, put Jeff on the spot is what you do.
There you go. Flip it around.
Our week's been fine, trying to get back to getting my people back in order after being off for a few days. So that's always a little hectic the first few days, but
So when you minus Jeff, tell us about you without him. Part of it,
I have no idea.
You don't know? It's a 2-for-1 shot.
2 for 1.
And Jen, I did not mean to put you on the spot. I just thought, that minus Jeff. Let's hear about Jen. That's all.
I was going to say something about what I heard on the news, but
Okay.
ahead.
Well,
Absolutely. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that happened down at Long Point. These two people in their 30s were intoxicated, and the camp counselors or whatever went to get them or went to confront them, and they ran away and they got on kayaks and took off.
oh.
Oh.
But no
Right,
tracks.
right
That's
down-
what happened on Cayuga Lake, Seneca
Yeah.
County there.
Okay.
Yeah, they were
Right-
looking for
right
someone.
down from our house.
Yeah, this is totally different than the person that died.
Oh.
This
Okay.
is
Oh.
a couple that was drunk, and they took off. They found them across the lake, and I guess no charges were filed. So I guess you can be drunk and steal a kayak and be fine.
Well, it didn't have a motor on it, so there's that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hey.
As you can tell, I don't keep up with current events that are 200 yards away from my house. So, holy shit.
Well,
You're not alone there.
internet will do that to you, Jeff. But
Yeah.
so Jen, you like to know about current events. What's your favorite color?
Red.
And you love animals.
Hmm.
She is the animal whisperer. So, funny story that I will share with her.
Okay.
You've all seen the pictures of my cat, God rest her soul, Sassy. Sassy was a witch. And the reason why I say that is because she was temperamental. She only wanted you to touch her when she wanted,
She
it.
wanted. Mm-hmm.
And the first time she met Jen's mom, she scratched her on her toe, I believe, or on her ankle and made her bleed. But so I told Jen that, if you ever come over, just be careful of Sassy. Don't try to pet her. Well, the first day she comes over and Sassy's just loving her, and I'm like, yeah, you're the friggin' cat whisperer because that cat doesn't like anybody.
Some
I
people
thought you were gonna tell them about my new footstool I got.
move your phone. Is she on it?
No, she ran away.
So Jen bought herself a new footstool, and it's the kind that has you can just take the lid off and you can whatever in there. So as soon as she got it home and unpackaged it, Bobby Sue took over, and that's her new perch.
Used it once.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Cats find the weirdest things to sit on and lay
Oh,
on.
no.
Yeah,
Yep.
crazy. Imagine if people had a mind of a cat.
Mm.
Some people do.
Wait, hold on. I'm not that flexible. Hold on.
That's what's wrong with Jeff.
Oh, Jeff went there, of course.
Jen, is there anything else you would like to share about yourself? That obviously everybody knows that you and I are married. 5 incredible, unforgettable years.
Who are you trying to kid?
Over 5 years ago. Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, okay.
Do it because you're on camera.
Absolutely. Okay, so now I'm not. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously, it's what you want to share about you and how you ended up on this podcast is really what it's about.
And some things are better off the cuff and not planned to say. So just be yourself.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast. But you don't have to.
You asked me to be on here, so I'm on here. I don't know what.
Supportive.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, that's just what this show's about. It's just like, sometimes we just have an idea and it's really there's no pressure for anybody or anything. So, Jen, thank you for sharing. I can't believe something happened 200 yards from her house and I'm fucking clueless about it. Whatever.
I had it on the radio with the radio I listened to in the morning on the way to work.
Huh. Well, maybe I should turn my radio station for 7 minutes on my commute, and you have a 38 minutes. So,
yeah.
So,
I don't.
And I don't know. I don't like listen. I just like to listen to music or comedy, whatever. It don't matter. 107.9, anyways. Elvis Duran in the morning show. So let's stay with the guy girl. George.
Guy girl.
Why don't you, in your own words, share where you've come from, and how you ended up here?
Well,
in 20 words or less.
20 words?
Right.
I'm just picking.
That's gonna be rough.
I'm just picking.
That's what he said.
Yeah. So on another episode, I told my childhood story, and it was rough. I mean, it was a hard childhood. I think I look at it now that I basically had 2 lives. I had the life before I moved out on my own, and then after. When I finally ended up leaving, after a huge fight with my stepfather, I had my own place and that for a while, and then I moved in with my grandparents like a year or so right before I joined the Army. And I joined the Army. I wasn't gonna go Army at first, but I decided to go Army because of my grandfather, because he was in the Army in World War II. And I went away and I did that for 4 years. Got to see part of the world, and then I came home, and I wasn't even home a year before I got married. But prior to me being married, I had a lot of relationships that I wouldn't allow to go very far. And so my first real commitment in a relationship was with my wife. Before that, I think 4 months was my longest relationship. And then we had our 2 daughters. We had our oldest daughter a year after we were married. and then our youngest daughter 2 years later. Then in 2005, my wife's cousin lost her kids, and we took in one, and then a little later we took in a second one, took in his brother, and he was with us for a while, but he had other problems, so he had to go off and get help that we couldn't provide. And he may not be born to us, but he's our son. He's oh my God, he's 23 years old next month. And he's been with us since he was just before his 3rd birthday. So he's been with us more than he's been with anyone else. It was funny. I was thinking the other day, each of my kids have picked up something that I watch, because I used to watch it all the time, whether it was in syndication or whatever. My oldest daughter falls asleep to the sound of the show Friends. Literally, that's what she sleeps to.
Great show.
Yeah, my youngest daughter is obsessed with MASH.
Great
She
show.
loves it. She's watched every episode probably 100 times, almost as many times as I've watched it. And my son is obsessed with Star Wars. And I grew up with Star Wars, so yeah, I mean, you rub off onto your kids. Me and Jennifer have been married for 30 years this past June.
Nice.
She's been working, she's had her job for the state for 24 years now. I bounced around to different jobs, but that was only because I left the one job because she started for the state. I left that job and I just needed to find something that made me happy. And I drive forklift now, and that I enjoy that. I just enjoy that job, and a lot of people complain about it, but I think it's the easiest job I've ever had. And then about a year and a half ago, I joined this little chat group, and they kind of helped me grow, because I had hidden my feelings for my whole life. I just taught myself to hide my feelings. And I told them the story of my childhood in the chat group, and then I ended up telling it on the podcast. And since telling it on the podcast, I've come out of my shell as well. I get a little bit more emotional. I'm still learning my new emotions, my new old. I mean, the emotions were always there. It's just now they're not hidden, and I'm learning to deal with them. But I'm growing as I gotten much older. I've grown a lot in the last year or so, because of the chat group and this show and the people on the show. And pretty much that's where I'm at now. I originally joined the show just because we wanted to do a trivia show, and then after that I just became a regular.
Right.
I'm not laughing at you. I take great pride in knowing that the foundation of this podcast is to never it's to help people and let them know. And so I just take. I mean, it takes us all. It's not just me. I hope I said that correctly. I love the fact how you and Eric both said how, because of this. I know there's other factors in your life that have helped, but I just from this podcast standpoint, and we all know some of the people that were involved, who but I absolutely love hearing that. So continue, George, unless you were done. I was smiling and I didn't want you to think like
No.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, that brings us up pretty much to where I'm at now, where I'm still growing. I'm still,
I mean,
I'm like I said, I'm still learning my new self. You know, I'm learning who I am now. I'm a different person than I was, and I'm still learning. It's a learning process. It's not easy for me. I guess because I've hidden them basically for 35 years, almost 40 years. I've hidden these emotions, and now they're coming out, and I'm just trying to figure them out.
like,
Excellent.
yeah, once you join the show and all that, right? You were on it. You're asked to come on as a show member in a game show.
Yeah,
where it was.
yeah.
But-
They were
Yeah.
just doing a trivia show, and then I became
Right.
a regular. You know, I was on a show, and then I wasn't, you know, for a few weeks, and then I was on a couple in a row, and then I wasn't, and then I became a regular every week.
So did you watch any of the shows at all before
I
you?
did not. I didn't even know he had one.
Okay.
Until the group chat, and he mentioned that he was doing a trivia show, and that was when I knew. I didn't know about the show. He didn't really talk about it much in the chat group at first.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. So then, like, as you went on it for a while, more people come on, and then you got.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
What? I think you might have told us this, but I don't remember. What really made your mind change to where you were able to open up your heart and your mind to all of us? Was it because of the platform of the podcast?
It wasn't the podcast that made me open up in the chat group.
Right.
I got pretty close with several people in the chat group.
It made you feel comfortable enough, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So then. Right.
Most notably Jeff, Aline, Jackie, you know, and Becky, for the most part.
Okay.
And Bill was there at the time. He was in the chat group at that time. And and I just I was like, you know what? I was only skeptical of one thing about saying it in that group chat. I'm not going to say why. I'll tell you later, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
But Jackie and Jeff probably know what I mean by that. But yeah, and I just felt like, you know, it was time. I mean, I told a few people. Originally, my original plan was my story's never going to get told. I'm never going to my story dies when I die. And I ended up I told my wife and the kids, and they all know about it. And I told another close friend about it. And I was content just having them know it.
Okay.
But then I was like, you know what? I mean, it had a little bit to do with the podcast because we did one about, I think, suicide. I think it was the suicide episode. I was not a part of it, but we were talking a lot about it in the chat.
Okay.
And I was like, you know, I have an interesting story that, you know, should be told. It might help someone.
Right.
And I got comfortable enough, and you know, when I told it on the show,
yeah,
because remember I had to tell it twice.
Right. So
in a way, I the first time it echoed a lot. And I think in my mind, or at least that's what I thought, I had to tell it the second time for one reason. And she's sitting right there. Jackie was not able to make the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, maybe I needed her there, and that's why the show echoed. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's a higher technology.
Right.
Well, and you had a dream, and that was pretty.
Yeah, the dream.
Yeah, I had that dream probably because of my anxiety. I am sure I had anxiety because I'm like, we were coming up really close to, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell my story.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
But
Well, like before, just back
But
it up
then,
a little bit. Just back it up just a little bit. I just wanted to
okay,
ask you a question.
yeah.
Just so like you joined the podcast and that got your mind kind of going, and then so like what kind of because I come on the show, I think it'll be a year this month that I actually come on the show,
Right.
Steve. And then like so what changed your mind within the next 3 months to like I think it was like about three,
I
4 months
think
after the fact.
I
After
think I'd been kind of thinking about it. I know I had mentioned it to Jeff a couple times, and I wasn't 100% sure.
uh,
I think the one that made me that said, okay, it's time was Deb was on the show.
okay, so somebody from the show, that's what I was
And
going to
she
get at.
told that story and her ultimate like her basic learning, that she wanted to tell it was it'll help somebody. And that clicked with me. I was like, that's it. And the fact that she had even said that it's harder for men to have an outlet for how they feel. Like there's
Okay.
not like I'm not trying to degrade women by saying it, but women show their emotions a lot more than men do overall, because a lot of times, especially growing up in the era that we grew up in,
Right.
like some of our fathers or some of our male whatever father figures, whether it be an uncle or a teacher or something, would say, suck it up. You're a guy, suck it up, deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't let it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's kind of what made me make my decision to do this show.
Okay. So yeah, that's okay. So like some of the episodes that we've done,
Yeah.
it kind of makes you think after.
Yeah. That was kind of the last thing that told me, yes, you have to tell it. And then I got a little bit more comfortable telling it,
Mhm.
to the point where I don't know if you guys watched Ingrid's show that I was on.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When I told it to her, it had been at least a month, maybe more, since I told it on our show.
Mhm.
And you could already tell that my emotions were more on the surface.
Mhm.
I actually had to pause for a while.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, that's just, they were more on the surface than they had been before.
Right.
So, yeah, it was different. I mean, I guess I just felt my story needed to be heard. And then when I think, well, you had brought it up at first, Eric, but Ingrid had said that she was thinking about asking me as well.
Yep.
That gave me more outlets to maybe have my story seen.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Which is awesome. I mean, it shows that
Yeah.
we all in the show have helped somebody come out.
Right.
You've
Right.
helped more than one. I mean, you've helped thousands, and we just don't know those thousands of people. I'm sure, and it's probably a lot more than 1,000.
Yeah.
That are telling the same kind of thing you're just saying, and what I've said a little bit, and it's a really good feeling to know that us our program at night, at 7 o'clock, and we all get together, and after a busy day, that we change people's lives, and it's proven. You've changed my life, you changed George's life, and I'm sure Jacqueline and Jen and Jeff, and it's endless, and it's such a good thing, a positive thing that that we've all created here, or Jeff has helped get going, and
all of us,
and and I think the end is endless. I mean, it really is, and I feel proud to be a part of the group. I mean, it's fun. I mean, there's some tears, there's laughter, there's whatever we make it, and that's what's awesome about it, and it's so true and honest and from our hearts and minds. I mean, that's all you can really say. I mean, it's true, because we laugh and we cry. I mean, that's what more can you ask for?
Yeah,
absolutely. George, I want to just say thank you I just want to. This is all of our show. Just because I say I'm the host. I mean, Jackie's hosted, Becky's hosted, Georgia's hosted. Jen, she's going to be coming up with a show. She has to put it together. This is all of our show. I mean, just because I say I host, it's just this is the particular one or particular episode. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take just a quick commercial break just so we can get Jackie and I in without going over our time. So let me find that button. Shit, I did it again. Damn it. That one might have been intentional. Get out of there, Eric. I got to move you around.
Oh no.
Oh.
Throwback to Aline.
Hey, this time I should probably hit the timer to start instead of waiting 5 minutes into the show. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. This is JK'z Rewatchable Hour. We are just coming up with our own show about ourselves, honestly. It's something that we do not do. We are just talking. Again, I just want to reiterate, I thought it was a great idea to talk all about me, but no, nobody wanted that. But we are back with part 2. We are joined, as always, by Eric, George, Jen, and our next individual who is going to tell whatever she wants about her life and how she ended up here. Jackie, go ahead and take it away.
Well, one night my dad and my mom got together.
You know that.
Go down for
you
my intro. Fucking egg.
You know that happens when two people like each other a lot.
You know,
Well,
they have to like each other, but
I was an oops.
Oh.
I came 13 years after my brother, so 18 years after my sister. So I got to be the baby. Anyways, the 13-year span, 18-year span, I had some alone time with dad, and I lost my mom as a young child, about 2 years old. So he was like he was a single parent for me. So it was just me and dad. Anyways, gosh, when Jeff said that this show is going to be, get to know every one of us, and I got to sit and listen to everybody talk, I was like, what am I going to say about myself? How do you put yourself into a 2-minute, a 5-minute, a 10-minute thing? How do you sum up your life in 10 minutes? But, I am playful. I'm a great friend. I've always been the one to give advice. I did not hardly have a boyfriend or date like my 20 years of my life, really. And, boyfriends here and there. And my first serious one was a big mistake. But every single thing that we go through and every situation in our whole life, and yes, I might have a little bit of a story that maybe I will share someday, but in all honesty, I guess when you compare yourself to other stories and you think, how would my story help or benefit anybody? It's not like it was that significant. And, did it lead me down a path of like drugs and alcohol? No. In fact, I chose early on. It's weird. I do a lot of self-reflecting and like analyzing a lot of things. And I guess that's probably why I chose sociology as my major in college. Just to just sit back and like look at social, society, social norms and stuff like that. I wonder, how did my dad raise somebody like me? The two older kids, they did a lot of their own experimenting, whether it was drugs and alcohol, and had the time of their life between, high school and being a young adult. And I just felt different than those two, and maybe I wanted to be different in a way. So, you know, when it was just my dad trying to instill those norms of or just expectations of what he wanted me to do, you know, I was like, and I had a lot of teenage girlfriends that got pregnant when I was in school. And I just knew right away that I did not want to get pregnant in school. I did not want to be them. I did not want to say yes to drugs and alcohol. I didn't want to be a project or a factor of peer pressure. You know, I guess maybe I learned a lot with the scary movies I watched when I was like 4 years old and older. I was so into scary movies, you know, whether it was, you know, that it's weird, the beginning of movies. Do you guys ever like think back to like how the HBO movies started and like all of the other movies, like the big instrumental, you know, in the beginning of the movie, you know, anyways.
Remember,
So maybe it was the scary movies that I watched and watching a lot of the throwback action. I watched a lot of TV with Dad. You know, he was a big fan of TJ Hooker and like
Oh my
what was,
God.
you know, like all of the, you know, like Simon and Simon and
Yeah.
you
Hell
know,
yeah.
Magnum PI. I watched all of those with him, and he did let me, when, you know, every Saturday night, Friday was pizza night maybe, or Saturday was pizza night. So we go down to Watkins because we were only 20 minutes from Watkins Glen, because I lived in the southern part of Seneca County, even further than Lodi. And so we would just go 20 minutes down to Watkins. I'd go to Pick a Flick and we'd get pizza from Pizza Hut or pizza from Scatteri's. So anyways, I think I learned a lot from movies, you know, even those, you know, and it was a bunch of movies and TV that really weren't appropriate for a girl my age. Watching those, any scary movie was rated R, and here I was as a kid watching them with Dad. He would let me watch whatever I wanted to watch, and was it weird at times? I'd be like, oh
yeah.
God. You know, my dad is like right over there, and he'd be like, oh, Jack, what are you watching? You know, or something like that. But even Breakfast Club and like St. Elmo's Fire, I loved those. In fact, if I was in another house, like my aunt's house, she would make us all go to a different room if we were under like 15 or something.
This kid
And
is
so,
sorry.
anyways, I think I learned a lot from those movies, you know, like what not to do and what are the normal things to do. Otherwise, you know, like the politicians were like, video games and TV is bad. And I'm like, I think I'm learning a lot of what not to do. And, you know, and just to sit with Dad watching TV, even if it was back in 1980 something, I mean, we knew it was fake. There was a good guy and a bad guy, and we wanted the good guy to win. There you go. Sums it up, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to, I guess, be a good guy, you know. I didn't want to go to jail or prison or, you know. Anyways, here I am. So I've always been the advice friend that gives advice and try to be the supportive friend. And I like to have fun. But my favorite color is pink. I choose friends these days that, you know, I try to be smart. And right now I have a pretty good group of friends. And I am really thankful that somehow, even though I didn't know much of any of you, that it's our personalities that brought us together, really. I mean, are sadistic and sarcastic and, you know, maybe not so much sadistic, but come on, I mean, you know, we gotta have fun and maybe throw some raunchiness in there just to make us laugh, and you know, brings
You don't have
out
to, You don't
our
have to sugarcoat it. We are pretty sadistic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, that's who I am. And actually, while I was listening to George and listening to Eric, I think this would I say this 20 something years ago? I don't think I would, because when we lose somebody that we don't ever want to lose, when we lose somebody in our life, when we go through a very horrible experience, and if we were raised to believe in God, some may, they tend to just hate everything for a small amount of time and try to figure out why we did lose that somebody. But I came to the conclusion myself that everything has led us right where we should be.
Yep.
Even though those things are terrible and that we didn't want to go through and we should never have gone through, but we survived. So I guess just to sum up some of those traumatic events that we have gone through, like George and Becky is going through. We all have gone through something, and my past 19-year relationship has led me to the relationship I'm in currently, and I could not be happier. I have a good group of friends that I like to have fun with, and we talk every day, but we're in a podcast every week. And sorry about the lighting. So I'm happy where I am. As far as employment and all that other stuff, I might not be living in the place where I want to live, but I'm with family. I'm with my sister, and she's the best thing I have left as far as close siblings. Obviously her daughter I'm close with, but she is like my parent and a best friend, and she needs my support. So this is where I should be at the moment. And I'm with a guy that appreciates me and loves me, and we've declared our love for each other. So that's a big step. And I'm with a great group of friends right now, and I'm talking to all of you. My job isn't terrible, and I work a bunch of different jobs to keep it going and be able to shop when I need to shop and do what I can and want to do with traveling. And again, sorry about the lighting. So there,
Awesome.
I guess that's it. There's me.
Thank you for that. That was absolutely awesome. Thank you. But you stole my fucking intro. That's bullshit. I want to redo.
What did I say?
Because you all know, like if I'm over here and I'm writing something down, I'm making notes. So, so I guess it's up to me. So listening to all four of you, just speak whatever you wanted to speak. I feel very fortunate. But I'm still going to do my intro. So Jackie, don't ever steal my intro again.
Good minds think alike. You did not tell me about your intro.
So in late June of 1974, my parents decided to have sex, and guess what? That's when I was started. I've told you guys some of my life. I was the shy one that felt like I didn't fit in. I made it perfectly clear that I have problems retaining things. Jen will contest that she can tell me something 17 friggin' times, and then in 5 minutes I'm going to ask her the same thing. I don't. My brain just does not function like that. And I knew at a young age, I didn't like asking for help. I didn't like being put on the spot. I didn't like being made fun of, and that's probably why I failed a lot in school, because I had trouble learning. Did not grow up in the best household, but I also know people grew up in a lot worse than what I grew up in. As I've gotten older, I realized that things weren't as bad as I may have thought. when people are, going to Disneyland and they're wearing the newer clothes and, you're not. Obviously, even today, I'm sure kids are horrible. You're looked down upon. I made it very clear that as I got older, I decided to treat people like that because it was my chance to feel superior, and obviously I was very wrong. Um, so I was always the quickest one to do the partying with all the other people. I can't really mention names, but he was a senior and I was a freshman, and we used to hang out at his house, which is really weird. A senior having a house, I don't know. And that's really where I got introduced to some drugs, and it was my gateway to popularity. Um, I even though I hated how I was, it 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 got me out of my little shell. I think I know Jen didn't really say too much. Obviously later down the road we can do a story on her if she chooses. I think we all can relate to the word shell. We all have this shell, and obviously the more I drank or the more drugs that I consumed, the happier I was, which I was not happy. It was just, hey, I felt like I fit in. And that's how I spent majority of my life. Spent pretty much from all of high school all the way up until 23, 24, just living the rock and roll scene. That's the only thing I ever knew my whole entire life. But I learned a lot from it looking back. Um, um, some of the stuff I did, I'm actually lucky to be alive or not in jail or a combination of the two. Um, I've been at the same job for 23 years. But there was always something inside of me that I did not like, but I didn't know how to talk because as George had elated and we talked lots of times with John Palmer on this show, it just wasn't right. It was looked down upon for you to express yourself. Um, and ended up having a child. I ruined the relationship with her mom just because I was an asshole. I just didn't know there was a huge age gap, and I tried to be a friend instead of a parent, which was my downfall. But I still had this black cloud hanging over me, and I always knew I wanted to do more with my life, but I just didn't know how. I didn't have the self esteem. I didn't have the belief in myself. Um, and I shared a little bit with everybody before about Bill Verity and John Diesel. Some of you may know him as John Nieves back in the day. His real name is John Diesel. I remember just talking with them, and it was like one of the first times I really opened up to a guy. Again, I'm not women bashing. I'm not trying to, George said it perfectly. Women are easier to talk to with each other. Um, and I learned that the right people will never laugh at you. And this is going back to 2016. Just in a horrible, horrible. I had told Jen on our first date that I dated this girl who said that this is you guys can laugh. She actually had me believing that the child was mine, but she still lived in the house with her husband. But I never went over to her house or knew her address. Anyway, hey, low self esteem. Anyways, it's the way it goes. So I always had a shit ton of self doubt, which you guys know. And I went through some tough times, and ended up meeting Jen. Again, I always say our first date. Sorry, I don't have the stereo system that I once did back in 1999 or the white pants. George, calm down. I know.
The white
I
pants.
know.
The white pants.
There we go. The white pants. Hashtag white pants.
Remember, if we invent a time machine, I'm wearing the white pants this time.
So I thought you.
I don't know.
With no underwear.
Maybe.
I did not wear underwear back then. They were too tight because I was so buff. That's the story I'm going with it. It's my story and I'm telling it.
All right.
So, Jen and I got together, and I'll tell the story about how I proposed to her. It's actually kind of funny. Uh, I did everything that she asked. I took her parents out and asked for their blessings. That meant the most to her. And her dad said, well, I think he said, if I'm correct, he's like, you idiot, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but so we went to several places that weekend, and we were going a brain fart. Where were we?
Letchworth.
Letchworth State Park, and so one of the few times I actually do research in my life, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the perfect spot, whatever. Well, guess what's happening? We get locked out of our car. It's
My
starting.
sciatic acted up.
she, she's in a shit ton of pain. It's starting to rain.
Oh, no.
And so I'm like, fuck this. And so we start walking back down, and I'm like, oh, it stops. I'm like, hey, okay. I didn't want to be too cliche, but somebody else decided to have a fucking wedding that day. So I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm fuck that.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, right. I know. On my day that I had planned, whatever, don't matter. So we're actually we went to Tunkhannock, up in Ithaca. That didn't work out, so fuck that. We're actually just out by the fire, and I'm acting really nervous, and because it's just not something that
Giggling like a little girl.
I think any guy or girl that proposes, if they say that they can do it without any butterflies, they're full of shit. And yes, I was nervous, and I was so nervous that I actually, yes,
Liar. Wrong. Something I've never said out loud. She
Can you
knows
love me?
it. She knows it. I was in love with my wife 8 years before we ever dated.
And you weren't nervous at all when you did you do the whole traditional down on one knee?
Yeah. Well, I have
Well,
somewhere I have pictures.
okay, well, George. But anyway, no,
But
seriously.
that's only because we were best friends. We had
Gotcha,
become
yeah.
best friends.
But so I was so
The only thing that was nervous was I was actually more nervous when we first started dating.
ah.
Want to
Because
start,
I'm like,
want to
we're
start
not
getting
supposed
serious?
to, we're not supposed to be dating. We're
Right.
we're friends. Yeah, we're friends. We're not supposed to be doing any of this other stuff.
So
It's not supposed to happen.
So not that I put a lot of planning into everything, like which you guys know. We were out by the fire, and I had it in my pocket, and
It fell
I
out.
was no. I was just so nervous,
It fell out.
and finally, in not so many
That's
ways,
The
what
ring,
words.
the ring, the ring.
No,
the
no,
ring.
no.
Oh, okay. I was thinking something else. Sorry.
There was deer.
Yeah,
Deer kept interrupting you.
yeah, and so she's like, what the hell is wrong with you?" I'm just ad-libbing. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she's like, "What's going on with you?" I'm like, "You really want to know?" Like I was getting mad at myself, and I was and I was sweating, and I was nervous, and
He grabbed my hands.
and so being as so nervous as I was, I said it, and I got down on one knee. She's like, "Oh my God," and I'm like, "Okay, cool." And this is like split timing. It was the reaction I wanted, and I was so nervous. I said, "Hey, would you marry me someday?" And she's like, "Someday?" I'm like, "No, that's not what I mean. I mean, so
No, when you went down on one knee, I go, "What are you doing? Are you kidding me right now?"
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, see, yep. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, "Holy fuck!" If you have any idea of how much I'm traumatized right now by trying to get this without screwing it up, which I did screw it up. But anyways, so we were married shortly after that. COVID hit, so that really fucked things up. But since 2016, I started this change of my life. And Jen and I were married. We were already living together. We have beautiful Dozer. You guys all seen pictures of him. He's sleeping right now.
Yep.
But he's still gonna wake up when I come out because he's gonna want his nightly treat. But things obviously, with any type of relationship, nothing's ever really perfect, but we just make it work. And we love football. We love betting. She hates it when I yell at the TV because it's just a game, but there's money every freaking weekend. But anyways, we just kind of make it work. And I don't know, about 20 months ago, Becky Cherwalk and I were going back and forth on Facebook, and somebody had said, you guys should have a podcast. And I thought, like, holy shit, like, I would love to be able to talk because, shocker, I love to talk.
No.
Yes, I know. uh,
Apparently my dogs love to talk.
I had no idea what to do. And I want to give a shout out to people who, if it wasn't for them, this podcast never would have gotten off. One is Craig Pemberton. Although he is no longer affiliated with the show, he chose to go on and do his own thing. It is what it is. It was his idea to use Skype. I remember I told Jen, it was that Sunday or Saturday or whatever in January of 2024. I said, hey, I'm going to meet Craig and my other really good friend who I'm going to mention here in a minute. I said, we're going to talk podcast and business stuff. I mean, I literally just got in my vehicle, through the walk-ins, right? I want to give another shout out to obviously Becky Cherwalk for going back and forth on Facebook all those times. I know people were just shaking their head. I would get messages like, you and Becky are crazy, you guys, blah, 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 blah. And everybody knows how graphic Becky and I can be. And I also have a very good friend. His name is Will White. He is and always will be an original member of this. The three of us started it in Dunkin' Donuts. We came up with the name a week later, and we have decided to call our podcast JK'z, which is still, but we say stands for just kidding. That's what it is. Craig Kelso has evaporated from our lives. It is what it is. No hard feelings. And Will White, great friend of mine, also a Chicago Bear fan. That just extra stars for him. Known him for about 16 years. He and I were going to do this podcast, but we had no idea. And he decided to venture off into other parts, and he is doing extremely well. There's no hard feelings between him and I. We talk every day, just about. Jen loves it when my phone goes off at 9:30 at night, and
You don't love it either.
But I have turned my butt. Yeah. But anyways, that's just a little inside joke. And Will White is doing an exceptional podcast of his own called Pins and Wins. I highly recommend it. The reason why I'm mentioning all these people is because it's what's brought me here today. If it wasn't for those two, I would not have known what to do. So it started off with, as you all know, Craig and I just doing, I don't know, I was sitting out there at my mom's desk that I have. Jen was in the background, probably thinking I was a friggin' idiot, because after I would get done with the show, she'd be like, I don't know if you guys could hear me, but she told me I was talking too loud. I'm like, see, I can't hear anything with my headphones. I don't know anything. And then we had Becky Cherwalk. That's why I call her the iconic one, because she was the first ever guest on this show. She told her story, and I know that changed many lives. I think I probably talk Jen's ear off all the time about ideas I have for the show. And then shortly after that, Craig decided to do his own thing in life. It is what it is. I was with Becky. I just don't remember the order that everybody came in, but we had people like Bill Verity come on. And Bill, is just, being a single father of two kids, he really didn't have the time. We had John Palmer come on the show. And then George came on, and I remember, just George and I would talk on Facebook, and then this chat group got created, added Jackie and Aline and a few other people. And I made it very clear, I don't ever, and this is not a dig, I don't ever remember Jackie from high school. I actually thought she graduated, but she had reminded me that she was a year behind us. became real close with George right off the bat. I know when we first started doing shows, most of the stuff looked like this, right? It was just stuff on a piece of paper, and I would be reading it, and we would be doing this. And we had so many technical difficulties. Raise your hand if you're aware. I am definitely. Fuck Skype. And you know, then Eric Evans came on.
Yeah.
Jen was already on the show. She was, for the lack of a better way, she was just kind of shy because she didn't really know everybody, but she's come a long way, as we all have. And I think about how the shows used to be. They were a bunch of people talking over everybody. There was no really itinerary. There was, it wasn't until, Deb came on the show that really turned this podcast around. And, I keep on telling everybody, we're huge in Hong Kong. I mean, we only have 100 downloads in Hong Kong, but who cares? Our show is on the fucking radio, okay? And, I may slip up at times and say my podcast or George's podcast. It's all of our show. And I think that's why we are not your average podcast is, with George and Eric saying earlier that because of this show and the clientele that's on the show, not just anybody can be part of the show. I mean, it takes a certain person. That's why some people just leave. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. It's just the way it is. And the other last week or whatever it was, we did Jen's story about her 30-year nursing health career. And I know that somebody will listen to it somewheres and they'll be like, oh, this is what this person said. And that in doing this podcast and becoming so close with everybody on and getting together at Becky's and looking out for everybody and everybody, being thrown into this little ball and everybody's like, okay, I got to figure out you. And now we're all, I know sometimes when we were getting the crude humor with some new people on, I was like, oh, I wonder how they feel about that. But I'm like, but this is just who we are. I brag every day. You guys know this. I'm making up reels. I'm reaching out to Eric's son about trying to help promote the show and do other stuff. I love the fact that if I log on to our RSS domain and I see 90 some downloads in fucking Hong Kong, I'm screenshotting that bitch and I send it to everybody. Now, there could be a million other people that have a million downloads, but this is our show that okay, I'm on my tablet, you're all on phones, right? This is what we do, and I absolutely just fucking love it. It started off with trying to do music a trivia that Jen and Becky that I thought would run away, but and then we were doing these games and it ends up with hey guys, I have an idea, just jump on the show, and you guys are all like, well, okay, yeah. See you Thursday at 7:00, and but now that's led into George hosting, Eric hosting, Becky hosting once, Jackie, Jen's gonna be hosting, she's putting it together. We take ideas from people, and some people may look at our show like, wait a minute, you guys really did a show on recipe? Why not? That was somebody that is a part of this show. Now, I don't want to use the word affiliated. This is our show. I mean, if we make $100, I'm splitting that bitch 7 different ways or 6 different ways. I don't care. So the reason why I'm on this show is because of all your beautiful smiley little faces right there, and the fact that we can just throw content together and we are all comfortable with everybody. We feed off of everybody, and everybody's still getting to know everybody. That I am just so glad that somebody has suggested Becky Chirwalk and I do a podcast, and I thank Craig Pemberton for giving us the idea to use Skype. And I think Will White, Pins and Wins podcast, check that out. Give them a subscribe. That's what we do here. And the thing about also, we're all organically, genuinely nice people. We try to help people. Look at what we did for Deb. Look at what we've done for so many people. It led me out to meeting Ingrid, who 2 of you have done the show, right? I know Jen reached out to Ingrid. And that's just what we do. And, I'm just going to end it here in a minute. And one of the greatest stories I tell about this podcast, not just because we like to have fun and we touch on subjects that some people may not talk. If one of us, it's a two-parter. If one of us has an idea, we're all in on it. We're all, it doesn't even matter. Like, like I said, somebody could say, wait a minute, you guys did a show on recipe? Yeah, because our family member, Aline, said, hey, I want to do recipes. And we're all just going to do our little part. But one of the best stories that I absolutely just love telling, and I don't care, last summer, I believe, or whatever, George Muzzy is driving down 5 and 20, I believe, and he thinks he hears Becky's voice coming in the car. So he's looking around. I'm ad-libbing, just, he's looking around saying, where the fuck is Becky Chirwalk? He comes to a stoplight, and there's this truck jamming out to our fucking podcast. Yes. We have shirts, hats, stickers, business cards, bracelets. You know what? So with that, I'm just saying, like Jackie said it best, everything has led us right here for a reason. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say thank you to each and every. I know Becky hasn't been on in a while. Aline. This is just year 2. What does year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bring? And it's just, I love it. I think about it. And I think this is exactly what I love doing. I love the fact that we can make fun of each other, that we can do these serious topics such as suicide, or we sit here and we do the whole, hey, who said it, who did it, and people are like just losing their minds over shit. And so we have about 7 minutes left. I just want to say thank you to I'm just going to try to run them down: Becky, George, Aline, Jen, Eric, Jackie,
Bill,
Sean Karen, Bill Verity, Will White, Craig Pemberton, Deb Maxwell, and Maureen Miller, and Emily from that was from the suicide. I can't remember the pet passage lady's name.
Wendy?
Ingrid Dutton.
It was Wendy.
Oh yeah, Ingrid Dutton, and so many people that we're up over almost to 1,400 subscribers. I just, what a difference just 6 months makes. So
yeah, it was Wendy. It was Wendy Carlisle from the
Wendy Carlisle. Yep. Yeah. And like I said, so we're all equally part of the show. Eric, knew of an individual. He contacted him. Now we have actual merch. So thank you all for week in and week out. Sometimes we all have busy lives, and we just, some people say, oh, this is a nice hobby. No, it's not a hobby. It's hour and a half or whatever away from all the bullshit. We can come on, we can just be crude and vicious and diabolical and sexual and joking, and everybody laughs, and then we talk about it and we make little references, about George and a hooker in a ditch. I don't know, but so that is where I'm at in life, and I thank you all, and I love you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Love you.
Yeah, thank you for what you've done, for sure. Don't fall yourself short, Jeff. You've done a great job, and if it wasn't for what you guys did, we wouldn't be doing this. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I mean, like I said, this is just all of our show. I know you said that you handed out business cards when you're in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
George said that George said he was talking to a co-worker that was going on road trip. He was going to listen. Jen saw I don't know. She sent me a screenshot of a individual who's doing a run for something. Jen, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Veterans and about mental health and everything.
Okay. So of course I reached out to. I'm trying to find who he is. So, but like when you guys watch this show, and you see me smiling, is because when somebody says because of your show or the people, the platform, it's like that is what was intended from day one. And I know that we no longer talk with Craig, but like I said, he's an integral part of this. It was, if it wasn't for him, this never would have gotten off. And for Will White, you gotta acknowledge the ones that helped you along the way, because isn't that what we do? We ask people, hey, buy our merch. Here's our card. Do this or that. So, so I just wanted to, and like I said, Will White, when he said he wanted to go and do his own podcast, at first I was like, oh, this really sucks because we talked about it. But you know what? And I support him. I tag him and stuff. I promote his show. And you just can't. Nobody does anything in life by themselves. You get help, and I just wanted to acknowledge. And I probably missed some people, and I truly, truly apologize. But I just wanted to acknowledge the ones that helped us the last 20 months.
Yeah, and Teresa Akers. I don't think you mentioned her.
Oh yeah, shit, Teresa Akers. Yes. Yeah. See. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. She was the first one that come on the show, I think, right before Ingrid.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
It was good that you reached out to a lot of them, and there was another guy there. I don't remember his name, but we talked about wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who had more words, not Rory, but this. Yeah, maybe it was Rory. Maybe you're no the guy that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but you know what? That's a good thing if we can't remember all the names of the people that have come on the show so that's good. Just before we go over, I'm just going to end the show and then we'll just go off camera. But I just wanted to say, thank you all that have had a hand, not only current but former people in helping with this show. And I want to thank Eric, George, my wife Jen, and Jackie, Becky, and Aline, who are not on the show, for always being here for all of us. And with that, thank you for watching JK'z Watch Bar. I'm going to stop recording, and we're just going to do a little talking. But not that anybody that won't know unless you are in this show. So, all right, love you all. Don't go anywhere. I fucking did it again. God damn it! Somebody get me a mouse that works.
You got a trademark.